What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I'm going to showcase some Guzzlord gameplay in the Open Ultra League. It's one of my favorite dragon types to use in the entire meta, and in Ultra League it's able to incorporate a lot of the common cores that we see. I know a lot of people are big fans of water types in this meta, as well as the electric types like Bellybolt. It's able to shut them both down, and because of its flexibility here, it's a very fun Pokemon to use. Let's get into the battles and see what this Pokemon can do. Alright, let's get right on into it here. Shadow Caesar up against Virizion. Now, this Pokemon is very bad for our backline. Honestly, Shadow Caesar kind of struggles against it as well, but because these bullet punches are so neutral against them, I can ramp up my attack stat and try our best to neutralize this as much as we can. In comes an attack here, like the Ace Sacred Sword being thrown. Does put us into the yellow, but at this point, we can go for a Trailblaze here, throwing good timing just to make sure I get as much damage as possible. In comes the Trailblaze. Will we see a shield? Our opponent, realizing at this point I'm likely not on X's or they end up letting that go, I am going to shield myself here, try to farm them down if I can. In comes a Sacred Sword against us. We're going to go for the Bullet Punch damage. Can we farm them down? Just barely. We are able to. What's going to come in to take this energy here? I'm going to go for the Night Slash. Potentially, a Trailblaze would have been a little bit better to go into here. I was kind of expecting a Ghost type to come in, like a Drifblim, but no, I guess either way here, it wouldn't have done that much damage to this Drapion. But I have my Guzzlord here in the back line, one of the best walls to this Pokemon in the entire game, and they're staying in. I guess there's a chance they're on Sludge Bomb. Oftentimes you see Crunch and Aqua Tail, but no, I guess there it is. The Sludge Bomb being thrown does about half of our HP. But at this point, I'm still happy to stay in here. Our Bellybolt in the backline with that Sucker Punch fast move is going to love avoiding this Pokemon if we can. In comes that Dragon Claw down, goes their first shield. In comes what is likely another Sludge Bomb here. I want to survive if I can. Seems like they're a little bit scared of our Guzzlord right now. In comes that Sludge Bomb, and in comes their final Pokemon, Lapras. Not the worst thing for our Bellybolt to see in the backline. I can bring in our Electric-type Pokemon, and while we don't have Thunder Shock, which means that we don't have super effective Fast Food Pressure against them, because we're still an Electric-type going for Parabolic Charge against the Water-type, this should still be a very good matchup. In comes the first move. Our opponent very likely going to have to shield this up, but maybe they let it go. They do let the first one go down, but at this point, while they will outpace us to the second Sparkling Aria, after that defense boost, it's by no means going to knock us out. We can reach another attack here, and that Drapion in the backline is still very low on HP. In comes a Parabolic Charge. Do we see a shield at this point from our opponent? If we do, then Guzzlord can likely close out this endgame, and if we don't, then I guess Bellybolt would be able to knock him out here, but they do end up shielding our opponent, going to throw energy at the last second, right before I can reach another attack. I don't think I can quite go for a Dragon Tail down against this, not before they get to a move, but I can overfarm at least enough to outpace that Drapion to another attack. 2 more Dragon Tails is all we need to guarantee the outpace. In comes the Dragon Claw. Our opponent is going to go down on Lapras. Can we outpace him here? I'm pretty sure they're energy dry, so we can outpace, go for the Dragon Claw, and get the guaranteed KO. In comes the move. Down goes the Shadow Drapion Guzzlord, closing out the endgame. GG there to our opponent. Next game, let's see what we have. Shadow Caesar up against the Pangoro, a very neutral lead matchup, but once again, a Pokemon my backline really loves to avoid. Our fast food pressure is going to add up quite a bit, but this is not the Great League meta where you could probably just 2-shield through this super easily. In fact, in Ultra League, this Pokemon is a little bit tankier here. In comes a Night Slash. That move is going to draw our first shield. In comes our Trailblaze to try to get a shield back. In comes the attack, and do we see a shield? It's going to boost our attack stat up 1 stage, and we do see a shield. Makes sense, I guess. At this point, I'm going to see if I can go for the 1 shield, or the 2 shield rather, farm down after that attack boost. Honestly, it's going to be close. I'm not sure we can quite do it. In comes the Bullet Punches, but a 1 HP survive by this Pangoro. Going to make it so, unfortunately for us, we don't quite get the knockout. I have to make a catch here, but because we have a lot of energy on a Shadow Caesar, I'm hoping it's going to have more play in the backline. And man, once again, a Shadow Drapion comes in. I am hoping they're not on Sludge Bomb here. If they're on Sludge Bomb again, then I guess they have some neutral attacks into us. Yeah, okay. I guess it makes sense why they'd bring this in here if they did have Sludge Bomb, but I'm still able to do a lot of damage against them as well. We can go for these Dragon Claws as well as the Dragon Tails and try to get as much chip damage against them as we can. In comes the next Dragon Claw on CMP, but our opponent ends up winning that CMP with the Shadow Drapion. Crunch might end up knocking us out here. Yeah, it actually does, but I can farm them down with our Shadow Caesar. Use all of this energy against the backline. We have back-to-back Night Slashes. If that Pangoro comes back in, we can just farm him down there, I guess. Love to see that. In comes the Shadow Drifblim as well. We have Night Slash ready to go. Honestly, there's a chance we might not even need our Bellybolt to fight against this thing, but if we did have our Bellybolt against this, obviously, that is one of the best matchups we could be in, but I might just get to 3 Night Slashes, which could knock this Pokemon out. In comes the next Night Slash. We do see a shield, a boost for good measure, and now at this point, Night Slash will be able to knock out the Drifblim, and Bellybolt are not even required to win this game. Night Slash knocks out the Drifblim. GG there to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Caesar into Cradily. Fantastic Pokemon to see here in the lead matchup. Our opponent going to swap right out into a Lapras, a Pokemon that I have a lot of answers to on our team. I'm going to build up some energy on our Shadow Caesar there, because I know at this point the Bullet Punch damage is also going to be pretty helpful. It's going to make it so it's a little bit closer to Parabolic Charge range on our Bellybolt. In comes a Parabolic Charge, but our opponent is able to just barely outpace us here. Honestly, maybe I should have swapped a little bit sooner so I could have got a boost off before their second attack. But either way, I don't necessarily need Switch against that Cradily. It wouldn't be bad for us, obviously. But because Guzzlord and Shadow Caesar both have play into it, if they want to go down shields in order to flip Switch, then they can be my guest. In comes that first shield here from our opponent. In comes their next Sparkling Aria as well. I know I can survive the sidewave damage to get to another attack here, so I'm going to shield this up, go for the Parabolic Charge, try to get another shield from them, or potentially if they let this go, then I'd love to get a knockout. Our opponent goes for the double shield on the Lapras. They're going to try to sidewave us down, but I don't think they can quite do it here. We're going to reach another move in just a second. They throw at the very last second themselves, but we do survive the sideways, forcing some energy out of them. Our Shadow Caesar can come back in, potentially go for some Night Slashes here to boost up the attack stat just a bit more. Well, I guess potentially boost our attack. Let's see if we get that 1 in 8 chance. Night Slash coming through. Do we see the boost? It knocks out the Lapras, but no boost here. And, okay, I guess Amanda was in the backline. Not the worst thing I could have seen, but I definitely would have loved just winning this game with a straight-up RPS. Switch advantage wins us the game here, because Snarl Mandibuzz into Guzzlord is a very awkward matchup for them. But at this point, we're still in a decent spot. Maybe, I hope so. No debuff on that Crunch. If you got a debuff there, then maybe my next Crunch could be enough to knock out. But because they did survive that move pretty comfortably, even with that debuff, there's a chance they would have been able to survive the next one just barely and get a second Rock Tomb off. But at this point, I do see a way to win this game, or at least give us the maximum amount of play. I'm going to go for the shield on this next Rock Tomb, farm up as much as I can, and then when I have my Switch Clock ready to go, swap into our Shadow Caesar, go for a Trailblaze to boost up my attack, and as well as clear my debuffs on that Guzzlord, save all the energy, and hopefully get some chip damage against their Mandibuzz with our Shadow Caesar. In comes a Mandy here. The Bullet Punch damage is shredding through their HP, but in Ultra League here, they only need 2 charge attacks to knock us out, and we're not going to be able to whittle them down as quickly as I'd like. In comes our move here. Our opponent, a little bit of a misplay by us. They throw instantly. I thought I could go for one more Bullet Punch. I should have thrown the move. Hopefully that's not going to end up mattering. Aerial Ace does knock us out. Guzzlord has a lot of energy, and the good thing is I know at this range, we're not going to be knocked out by a single Aerial Ace. So with that said, I can go for 3 Dragon Claws potentially against them. Is that going to be enough? It's going to be so close at this point. I'm going to try to survive as long as I can here, get as much Dragon Tail and Dragon Claw damage off against them as we can. In comes the next attack. Does this put them into 2-shot range from this attack here? Dragon Claw, it's going to be close. I think that might just do it though. Dragon Claw coming through once again. Does this knock out the Mandibuzz, or will they hang on? They get knocked out. Guzzlord able to close it out here. Love to see it. GG to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Caesar into the Shadow Caesar mirror matchup. A very CMP dependent matchup, especially in the zero shield, or rather, like every shielding scenario is going to be dictated on who wins CMP and who uses shields when. So at this point, I'm going to go for the no shield on this attack. I know I'm going to lose CMP because we just tested it out there. So the lower shielding scenarios are probably the more impactful ones for me to play in. In comes our next attack here. Going to be the Night Slash. Our opponent is going to actually shield themselves, and these bullet punches are actually doing quite a bit of damage. I bet they got the boost there because they already did like 20% of my HP just with bullet punch. That belly bolt technically does resist, but they save energy. They come in with the Regidrago. And at this point, this is not the worst spot to be in. I'm up energy as well as up shields against this Pokemon, and they actually allow us to get to 2 defense boosts before they throw a single attack. So this means maybe I can actually survive a Dragon Energy, force them to throw a lot of damage against us here. Maybe both a Dragon Energy and a Breaking Swipe if they want to knock us out. Let's see, how much does this do? I know it's Ultra League. I'm going to tank this just a little bit better than I would in Great League. We survive, we force energy out of them, and down goes a lot of energy from this Pokemon. Regidrago throwing the Breaking Swipe. It will knock us out here, but I can farm this down with either my Guzzlord or my Shadow Caesar. At this point, I'm hoping that our Caesar has play, and it's not looking too bad for us here. I can go for the Night Slash against this Runerigus. This Pokemon doesn't want to take Dark-type damage. Luckily, I have Dark-type damage across the board on my team. In comes our Guzzlord now, and while these Shadow Claws are resisted, they can go for Rock Tombs to lower my attack stat, which might make my life a little bit more uncomfortable, but I know Rock Tomb's not going to one-shot us, but I also know the only other Pokemon remaining in this game is going to be that Shadow Caesar. While they might have X-Scissor, likely they're going to be on Trailblaze as well as Night Slash, so I'm going to shield up at least one of these Rock Tombs just to play it safe. They will get to another one here, but I'm going to no-shield. That way I can save a shield just in case they do have an X-Scissor on that Shadow Caesar. In comes a Rock Tomb. Down goes, I guess, a little bit of our HP, but Guzzlord is such a trooper. It's able to survive. In comes what could be a X-Scissor, actually. It was 6 bullet punches of energy, so yeah, they ended up going for the Night Slash bait. Either that's a bait there, or they don't actually have X-Scissor. I'm going to just play it safe here. You're going for that shield, then going for the Crunch. It's -2. There's a chance they survive this. They do barely, but we can actually just snap them down with Shadow Caesar before taking any more damage on our Guzzlord. Where are they going to bring at this point? They bring in the Regidrago, which gets a couple of Dragon Breaths against us, but one Dragon Tail knocks them out before they can reach a Breaking Swipe. We can farm down the rest of this Runerigus as well, and take the win here. GG to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Caesar up against the Forretress. A very interesting matchup here. I don't love being the Shadow Caesar in this scenario because these bug bites, as you can see here, are shredding through my HP, as well as the fact that they can debuff us with either Sand Tomb or Rock Tomb, depends on what they want to throw or even what moveset they're running. I think in Ultra League, a lot of the time you see Earthquake as one of the attacks on Forretress, but I need to shield this up. I know Rock Tomb would do a lot, and they actually shielded that first Night Slash, which is so much more uncomfortable for us because by shielding that move, it means I have to swap out, and we are met our Belly Bolt by a Zygarde. This is the worst case scenario. Our Sucker Punch damage at least is adding up a little bit, but we have to keep in mind, our damage with our charge attacks does absolutely nothing. But they throw almost instantly here. What move is this going to be? It might just be a Bulldoze being thrown right now. No, it's a Crunch. I wonder if they're on Crunch Outrage then. If that's the case, though, I still would have expected to see them go for the Outrage. They're going for another attack here, stalling out my own Switch Clock. So at this point, I might be able to swap out, save all of this energy in the backline, and then potentially still get some use out of my Belly Bolt later on. This Zygarde user playing a very strange way in this game. I'm not quite sure what they're doing, but it's going to give us a bit more wiggle room than we'd have otherwise. Now, at this point, I have a lot of energy on Shadow Caesar. We're going to be able to go for Night Slashes into the Forretress. Will 2 Night Slashes be enough to knock out? As long as they're not going to reach another charge attack, then maybe I can Bullet Punch them down here. Do they shield this? They might also want to go for the shield. No, they let it go. Can I farm down? It's going to be close. We do just barely outpace them. That likely means they were on Earthquake rather than Sand Tomb. In comes that Zygarde once again. We have a Night Slash ready to go. And I think we're in a pretty good spot. If they're coming back in Zygarde here, there's a good chance I can use my energy in the backline against a Pokemon that doesn't, like, 4 times resist however many resistances this Pokemon has against us. Yeah, okay, Lapras in the backline. Love to see that. Well, we have a Guzzlord in the back that's also not going to love to see the Ice-type damage. As long as we land a single Parabolic Charge here, that's all we really need to flip the matchup. And Lapras, well known for using Psywave, a Psychic-type attack, is not going to do too much to our Dark-type Pokemon Guzzlord. In comes our Dragon-type Pokemon. What moveset are they on? They might not even have Ice Beam, but they threw pretty early here, so likely that is going to be the Ice-type attack coming through. Ice Beam being thrown. Okay, yeah. So at this point, they need a second one to knock us out. All I need to do is get to back-to-back Dragon Claw. A Crunch might be enough from this range, but I want to guarantee it. I know they won't get to a second Ice Beam before I can get to 2 moves myself. 1 Dragon Claw is not quite enough, but the second one will get the KO. Guzzlord able to close out this endgame here, but honestly, Belly Bolt, such a trooper in this match, dealing with a Zygarde, somehow coming out of that matchup with enough energy to throw into the endgame, able to just barely take the win there. GG to our opponent. Next game, the Galarian Weezing. Don't see this Pokemon too often stay in to a Bullet Plunge user, but for some reason they are this game. I'm going to shield this up. An Overheat would obviously be devastating. Our opponent goes, they do full Ascent. Okay, no baits here, love to see that. And in comes a Jellicent. I have 2 hard counters to this in the back line. I could have brought in Guzzlord, which is actually a hard wall to this Pokemon, but I can also just bring in Belly Bolt and start ramping up with super effective Sucker Punch damage, as well as Parabolic Charge, which is super effective and is going to be able to boost my defense stat. In comes the move. Our opponent might want to shield this at this point, but if they do shield, they also just let me set up even more on Belly Bolt. They actually do shield, which is a very strange play in my opinion, because now I can reach a second one. Our opponent could have thrown a Shadow Ball a little bit earlier, but I think I still would have survived it. But they're not in a great spot on this Jellicent, because I have my Guzzlord. If they want to double shield through this, it's fine. I can bring in Guzzlord to absorb the energy. If I survive this move too, I actually have energy on my Shadow Caesar. I try to go for the combo play here. Our opponent, very smart. They ended up going for a catch on their Weezing, but I can undercharge this, still get a nice farm down with their Shadow Caesar, come out with a Trailblaze. If they come back in with that Jellicent, I can knock them out before they throw a charge attack against us, and this is going to guarantee I'm a +2 Shadow Caesar against whatever they have in the backline. I have a lot of HP, I have a shield advantage. There's not much that could beat us at this point, especially not a Lapras. All right, next game, Shadow Caesar up against a Walrein. All right, very good lead here. Honestly, the only matchup on our team that doesn't want to see this is our Guzzlord. They bring in a Shadow Gliscor. Honestly, I probably should have swapped in instantly into our Guzzlord here, but I didn't really know what to do. I thought that might be Fury Cutter for a second, but now that we see the fast move, we're kind of committed to staying in this matchup for just a second. In comes their next attack here. It's likely going to be an Aerial Ace, but I want to make sure to shield and keep my Shadow Caesar healthy. In comes a move. In comes my Night Slash here to guarantee a knockout or a shield from them. If they do end up shielding this up, then potentially I can go for the catch on our Belly Bolt. But no, they end up letting it go. Down goes the Shadow Gliscor. Who's going to come in now? I'm probably not going to be that Walrein at this point. No, we see the final Pokemon, and I don't love to see that here. It's going to be an Annihilape. I would love it if I could land this Night Slash right now. This would chip them down into range where maybe I can get some Dragon Tail and Sucker Punch damage into them. They do let them move through them, but they get a huge farm down in the process. This is not looking great for us, but I think Guzzlord, as long as they're not on close combat, can pretty comfortably survive whatever they're going to throw. They throw instantly here. What is it going to be? Ice Punch? No, it is close combat. I'm going to swap out there. We ended up taking about 75% of our HP, despite the fact that the visuals there did not reflect it. But in comes that Walrein once again, and I have access to Parabolic Charge. Might as well go for that super effective damage, as well as the fact that it can raise my defense stat. but this game is going to be very tricky. Walrein, well known for having Earthquake as a coverage move. Do they bait us here? Our opponent full sends the attack. That is a devastating amount of damage for our Bellibolt to take, but because we have another Parabolic Charge ready to go, there's a chance here maybe we can still win this game. I'm not quite sure. In comes the shield here from our opponent. I think at this point, a Weather Ball could be enough, or rather an Icicle Spear could be enough to knock us out. In comes a move. What's it going to be? Probably not an Earthquake. Yeah, they go for the Icicle Spear. Our opponent attempts a catch, but the thing is that bails us out, actually. I didn't have a Parabolic Charge, not just yet, but by doing this, I'm going to be able to get a farm down with our Bellibolts as long as we survive 2 more counters here, and then I'll have a Parabolic Charge for the backline. Honestly, that was a very lucky play by our opponent there to make. If I didn't have them go for the catch there, I probably would have lost this game. Potentially they thought I was going to catch as well, but because we were able to be patient, we were able to somehow take the win in that match. All right, next game. Not a great lead matchup. Unova Stunfisk, a well-known core breaker for Shadow Caesar plus an electric type that we have in the backline. But the thing is, it's Ultra League. I can survive these moves just a little bit easier. Bullet Punch might be resisted, but we've actually done just about as much fast pressure to them as they have done to us, which means at this point, these Trailblazers will likely get shields, and maybe I can start ramping my way through this Pokemon. In comes that first Trailblaze. Our opponent does shield that up, which means at this point they likely will shield the second attack. And while I know they likely will shield, I think it's still worthwhile to go for the heavier hitting attack here, guarantee that I can boost my damage, and make it so at the very worst I'll land a +2 Night Slash in just a second. In comes the Trailblazer, our opponent will double shield, but at this point our Bullet Punch damage, which is technically resisted against them, has put them below half HP. I can reach for a Night Slash in just a second as well. Mud Bomb is not going to knock us out thanks to that shield. In comes the Night Slash. How much damage will this do to the Unova Stunfisk? I'm hoping it'll be enough here to, at the very least, make it so we can force him to throw energy. It's going to be close. Our opponent goes for the farm now, but we get a Simul KO. Honestly, that is a very good situation for me to be in. Bellibolt, hopefully once that Ground-type Pokemon is out of the way, we'll have a bit more wiggle room. In comes a Golisopod in the backline. Not only that, but they're staying in against our Bellibolt here, which means likely the final Pokemon is either weak to our Sucker Punch damage, or maybe they're weak to our Electric-type damage. I'm going to go instantly for the Parabolic Charge. This move is going to boost my defense stat. Not quite get a one-shot here against them, but it will put them pretty low, at least into Sucker Punch down range. I guess they must have had double water in the backline that were able to take the win. Love to see it. Good stuff, Bellibolt. Guzzlord, not even necessary. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, this Pokemon's actually a team breaker. I don't think I have a single Pokemon I would consider an answer to this thing on our team here. Obviously, the dark typing of our fast move is resisted by the fighting type of Cobalion. We also have our Shadow Caesar, which has no moves that do anything less than resisted. Same with our Guzzlord, and Guzzlord's also taking super effective damage, so I kind of need them to stay in here right now. That's like our only chance of winning this game. Luckily, they are staying in here for just a second. What are they going to throw into us? It's going to be a Stone Edge. I guess that's a lot of energy down the drain, but they bring in a Shadow Swampert here to drain our energy, and at this point, I am in such an awkward spot where I have to stall at the switch clock. I can't go down 2 shields at this point, but we can bring in our Guzzlord, I guess, at the very least, try to go for as much damage as we can into them, but they're going to be able to reach an Earthquake here, or potentially 2 Sludges. It depends on what move they're going to be running on this Pokemon. What do they throw? It's going to be the Earthquake, does a devastating damage to our Guzzlord. At this point, they're just barely able to get a Hydro Cannon off. Unfortunately, what that means is I have to invest a shield here, or else I have to let all of this energy go down, and I kind of need Switch, but also Switch probably doesn't even matter. Wow, I don't think I really could have jumped up much of a worse team here. If Cobalion wasn't bad enough, the Florges against our Guzzlord, as well as the Swampert against our Bellibolt, this game is a lost cause. I'm going to try our best here to maybe somehow align our Shadow Caesar into this Pokemon. Maybe that Cobalion's lower in HP than I remember here. But no, at this point, this thing is so healthy. I need to land a charge attack into them, but they just outpace us, and I know they had 2 shields remaining. There's no chance, even if I did reach that move first, that I'd be able to do anything. Our opponent just handily defeated us in that game, unfortunately, but GG to them. Next game, Shadow Dragonite into our Shadow Caesar, a fantastic lead matchup for our Steel-type Pokemon. We are met instantly by a Shadow Hippowdon Safe Swap, and while Hippowdon is not the worst thing to see here, I am a little bit concerned right now. The main reason being that at this point, we've already seen a Dragonite in the lead, which I need my Shadow Caesar for. I've seen a Ground type as well, and if you're using a Hippowdon in this meta, it is not unlikely that you have a second Ground type in the back. If that is the case, then our Bellibolt at this point doesn't have a ton of play left in this game. I go for the Dragon Claw bait, trying to get a shield or I guess a decent amount of damage into them. They do end up letting it go, which is a little bit awkward, but I know at this point we should still survive this attack. A Scorching Sands, you can see it's not going to do all of that much damage to us here. We can survive, but they bring in the Shadow Dragonite to farm us down. At this point, though, I can switch lock in my Shadow Caesar here, try to go for a farm down against them if we can. They go for an overfarm, or rather an alignment throw with the Shadow Dragonite. I go for the overfarm myself, and if I can, I want to Bullet Punch this all the way down. I think I must need this energy in the backline. If it is double ground, then I need the damage against whatever their final Pokemon might be. They're thinking here for just a second, who are they going to bring? It's Mono Ground. It's going to be a Donphan. Yeah, okay, yikes. Shadow Donphan, Pokemon that is well known for its fast move pressure. I get the boost in my attack stat. I go for the Night Slash right after. This move is going to do quite a bit, but I don't know if it's going to put into a range where our Belly Bolt can finish off this game. Luckily, this is where Sucker Punch comes in handy. We're able to have that neutral fast move pressure into them, and this might be a Trailblaze into us right now. It will ramp up their attack stat, but because Belly Bolt is able to potentially knock him out here with a Parabolic Charge, we might win the game. They actually attempt a catch, which means now we don't even need Parabolic Charge. We can go for the Zap Cannon. I think this is the first time in the video throwing this move. Honestly, 99% of the time, Parabolic Charge is all you need, but Zap Cannon closes out the final game of the day. Very fitting stuff there. Belly Bolt able to win it for us. Yeah, Guzzlord I think is a very cool Pokemon. The biggest issue with it is bug types are everywhere, especially in Great League, but in Ultra League they're not quite as common, so I think you can still kind of get away with using Guzzlord here in this meta, but it's a very good core breaker. Ghosts are so common, as well as a lot of other dark types, so having a dragon type Pokemon that also resists the dark type damage is a very fun thing, and I didn't see any Belly Bolts here that I could hard counter with it today, but that is the best matchup in the world for it. Just hard counter the Sucker Punch Belly Bolt, as well as all of the electric type damage against them. It's fun if you can ever find that matchup. Hopefully, if you try out this team, you can see it yourself. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.